It's in progress.
Yay,
Okay.
it hurt
What I
you.
wanted to do is tell what it is I do. And words, we've tried with words and they don't. Anyway, here's what I do. I set out a challenge for myself, long-term and short-term. My long-term challenge, when I was 55, I set out this challenge to be world famous, worldwide famous, not including China, probably because they're far away, with my work. And also, I wanted to be rich and famous. So the rich part has sort of taken a while and hasn't shown up yet. My famous part is very sufficiently known worldwide, and I'm not concerned about that anymore. So my short-term goals are to illustrate in this method, which I happen to be using photography gear to do, that every individual that has a body, and we're not talking about microbes, that's too small for me, but has a body, has a life. And what I'm wanting to do is illustrate that that individual has a life. The only way I know my head wants me to do is have that individual looking in the camera, smiling. I don't want to I will not photograph somebody sad or somebody sick. I'm just not doing that. I mean, you'd have to pay me $5 million to do that. And so the images are healthy individuals who are looking in the camera. So when I go, yesterday, for example, I had a spot where I go pretty much every day, or I can every day, a certain spot, and has water in it and has trees and bushes, stuff like that. And I go there for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And that's where I go. And the deal is any bird who happens to fly by is eligible to have their picture taken. I keep my camera gear right there, although if there's some weeds in the way, I may move it over like 10 feet to the left. And that's what I do. And if I do it every day or consistently, which I did for about a year and a half last year, a couple of years ago, it shows what goes on at that spot. And I think that the individuals who live in that area, the ducks and the birds and the flowers and the plants and the water and the things that are there, are having their life there. That's important to me. Okay. Questions about that?
No, it makes sense.
Oh, wait, I have more thought. The other day, because Martin died in April, Martin's my, not husband, but person. And so my mood has been very, not as difficult to go up and down. And also I fell and I broke with some part of my foot. Now that's all better. So also we sold the house I was living in. Now I have Martin's condo, and we didn't have a car, so I couldn't go anywhere. And my boys helped me and they took me play whatever. So the other day, John took me out to a wildlife area, something which is really like a path and a field and some trees. And I didn't take my equipment because it was too heavy that day. So my head is saying, so we're walking along the path, and there's this weed. And I'm thinking, who wants to be called a weed? This is my head. This is what happens for me. You want to be called a weed? Nobody, that's not nice, call somebody a weed. So I said, well, you're not a weed, but I don't know what you are. So it was a long stemmed thing, very long, about 2 feet. The stem was about 2 feet and there was a flower on the top. And I'm saying, how do you get to be a flower on 2 feet of stem? And by the way, you're all by yourself here in this field. Where are your relatives? Don't you have roots that take, I mean, how come you're all by yourself? I walked down the path a little bit. There was a whole bunch of these guys all on their stems together, but this one was by herself. All I'm describing is this is what happens to me. So I want to, if I want to, then the next step would be, if I want to illustrate that this is an individual on a long stem by her or himself in this field, how do I illustrate that to somebody who will say, wow, that thing's all by itself and it's not really a weed. Okay, I'm done. Get that?
Yeah, what did you do?
Nothing.
Oh, not yet? Okay.
I didn't have my camera with me because John was taking me out to see what the place looked like. And
Yeah.
my camera gear, nobody uses. So I have this because I wanted to be drop dead good. Drop dead good. I am competing with Franz Lanting and Art Wolf and those guys. That's in my head, I'm competing. And they're both very nice, by the way. I want to be drop dead good. And to be drop dead good, you have to have equipment that lets you do that. And my equipment is this big, huge lens, which is a wonderful story how I got that. And it's very, very sharp. So one of the things, and people say, well, how did you get that picture? You have to know your equipment. You have to know if you use this lens, the chances are the image is going to be sort of like that. And if you use this lens, it's going to be like that. You have to know your equipment. 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 Okay.
But it's the photographer who takes the picture, not the equipment.
Well,
I'm gonna leave you with that thought. You're taking the picture, your equipment is not.
to get the kind of
good.
images I get, I need that lens. I understand what you're saying, but I need that lens blurs the background out.
Right.
Here, see. There. That's one, see. Well, this is the one I really wanted to show you. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the picture I took. I didn't do anything to this picture. It's full frame. The background is green blurred out. That's the lens.
What is the background, Marian?
It's leaves and trees back there.
And the way that your camera takes it, it makes it color, not items,
Right. It's
because it's so close.
well, I focused on the bird, and the bird is looking up, I think, toward God or something, if there's such a thing. And I know that the background is blurred out. That's what I do. So I understand that the same way with this.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's important to me because the background is like really, really important. If depending on what the response to the viewer is, well, like the picture you have on your book.
Well, and the way you do it, it's like air. You know, the background is air, which is what they breathe and what we all breathe and live by.
Yeah.
So I love it.
So this is how did you get this picture? Well, I spent like 8 days on my spot, 2 hours a day, watching this baby barn swallow. And see that twig there? So I was photographing on the twig. And actually, I'm putting a barn swallow book together because I just couldn't resist.
Nice.
And then I had to call Cornell to find out what was going on, the ornithology department, because I had to know more than what it shows up. What shows up on information is all how big they are and where they nest and how many, but they don't show behavior hardly at all. And I'm interested in behavior. So it turns out that leave their nest, they fledge at about 20 days, 18 to 20 days, and they sit around hoping somebody will feed them. And the dad and the mom are allowed to feed them for 3 days.
That's why I was thinking, if you look for Giuseppe Micali is a scientist from Italy, Deborah, who likes really likes Marian's work, and he knows a ton about birds and stuff. So if you ever wanted a reference for behavior or more information, he would be a really good person to contact.
Maybe you can make sure I got his.
Yeah, I'll make sure you have his spelling. Yeah.
This picture here is a very now famous picture. This is Vic at the age of 3 behind glass in the Cincinnati Zoo, where I drove I drove to Cincinnati from St. Louis to photograph Vic because he was Lucy's cousin. And you'll notice that Vic is a tinge higher than us, just a tinge. So he's kind of looking down just a little bit at us. And the angle is very important because this gives this individual more clout than if it's straight on or if I'm photographing it from this is all part of the deal. This
I
picture
keep trying to translate this into words, you know, how words work this way, or how your concepts work in my mind for language.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
This picture ended up Random House, you know, got this email from Random House. They said, we're looking for a picture for the cover of Franz de Waal's book, which had been my goal, to have my picture on the cover of Franz de Waal book. And they used it. And then subsequently, a couple of years later, I decided, this was, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, whatever, something. I wanted to photograph old ladies, old women. And I decided I want to photograph old women, and we don't like that to do that. We don't like the way we look, so we don't like it. And so I said, well, I'll just do that and I'll get AARP to sponsor me. So I said, well, I'll call AARP. And I looked up in the, AARP, and I called. And I said, this is Marian Brickner. I want to photograph old women and I want you to sponsor me. And they said, AARP? I said, yes. He said, well, how did you want to subscribe? This is the subscribe department. So that was the wrong phone. I called several phone numbers and they all ended up being the subscription department. But one person, I saw that one person said, I work with AARP and I'm a general or something else for geriatric issues. And I called that number and I said, this is Marian Brickner. I want to photograph old women and I want AARP to sponsor me. I love that technique. It never works. Sometimes it works. And I left my phone number and he called me back. He said, I know exactly who you are. Your picture is on the cover of Franz de Waal's book.
Wow.
And I want to try to help you, he said, forget photographing old women. Annie Leibovitz is already doing that. And you ain't never, that's just not going to happen. I said, okay. So the picture, Franz de Waal is so famous, of course, his books are translated all over the world, pretty much all over the world. So I got these emails from all over the world, Moscow, Tokyo,
Nice.
Scotland, everywhere. So
Marian, go back. What did AARP guy say he wanted you to photograph?
he spent about 2 years with me trying to get organizations to consider my work, considering that I'm, quote, old.
Yeah.
And actually, I had to go to France at that time to photograph Lucy. I had to Lucy and her new baby. And I was going to France, and he knew he's an international conference of some sort, and he wanted them to have me come there and talk about what I do because I'm old and all that stuff. They said that they were already filled up and they didn't have any room for people. And he tried to introduce me to a publishing company in Paris. He tried and tried. Nothing that he did worked out. He wrote an article about me in the Huffington Post.
Nice.
And, you know, I mean, people tried. One of the problems was this at the time was about bonobos, and the bonobos are, as you know, not a fan of a lot of people because they have so much interactive sex.
They're
So
they're trying, I just read an article in the New York Times this morning, and it's a woman scientist, I think, yeah, kind of young. She's working on changing the language about female genitalia, because the root word is pudendum and it means shame. It's Latin for shame. It's
Mhm.
500 years old and nobody ever questioned it. There's no word for male genitalia.
of course,
So it's a similar kind of sex thing.
well, good for her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So some people have even wanted to buy this. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about was I want, since I got to use I want. You guys still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make money doing what I do,
Mhm.
but apparently I don't want, what I want is if somebody wants what I do, then I want them to have it. And most of the time, people I know don't have like money particularly. That's Carol. So I seem to say, if you want something that I have, it's $30 or give me whatever you can. I don't want to coerce people into getting my stuff. So, as you all know that. Also, running out of time here. Okay.
Do you need somebody who
No, hold
likes
on,
to
hold
do
on.
that?
Caroline, I'm on my Zoom meeting right now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, say that again.
Maybe you can find or conjure somebody who likes to do that, who loves you and loves your work and would like to help you get it out there with skills that you don't have or that they
That's a
do.
great
and they
idea.
like it.
You know anybody?
I'm
I'm
trying.
at this point, I'm 84. I gave up.
Yeah, okay.
My conclusion is I happen to be delightfully good at the kind of work I do. We're all shocked. My kids and I are like, Mom, how did you do that? We did something good. My dead parents are all proud of me, and they tell me that. And what I do causes a smile, you know, I call it an inadvertent smile on
Yeah.
people, and I can do that. So I do that. That if somebody comes along and says, the psychology company wants to buy all your, that's great. I don't know how to do it. And that's my whole story.
Usually that's somebody's work, you know, somebody does that for work, like sales or representative or advocate or whatever, you know.
I used to
So-
spend 10% of every day and 10% of every week. 10% is like a long part of every day marketing my stuff. And I did, but I'm not doing that anymore because I just can't.
Yeah, Tony Capone, who was my brother-in-law, who was a very well-known a sculptor anyway around here and did a lot of stuff and has an art park that my sister-in-law keeps, you know, runs and lives there.
Uh-huh.
He had an agent for a little while, and that's when he got, you know, big jobs, but he was really independent and really individual, and he just didn't like it that somebody else was going to make money from his work. So he kept the agent for a year and a half or two and then did it on his own. So that's part of a choice too, you know.
I don't mind giving a whole bunch of money away to somebody who will, you know, I don't, but my energy needs to be my energy needs to be on my work. And that's my position now because that's.
Marshal your resources, right?
Well, I just
My grandmother liked that
You
phrase.
know, I just have to do what I do and
Yeah.
let's see, what else? Oh, Carol Cohn, who just called me, is another brilliant, brilliant poet, but she's extremely naive, more so than me. But her work is so good, I can't read it either, hardly. I wanted to make another book for her, and I just did that, and I produced the entire book for her.
Nice.
And all she had to do, more or less, was send me the poem, and we had to fit it into the page, and it's 93 pages.
Is that poetry, poetry, poetry?
Yeah, it's called
Is that
something
what
else.
it's called?
She just has may my words matter or something. It just
Okay.
came. We finished it yesterday afternoon.
Wow.
Wow.
I did that for her because her work, because I just had to, but I won't be able to do that anymore because it's, you know, diverts for anybody else. I wouldn't do it for anybody else. It diverts my time. There's, oh, hey, by the way, that page is a little too long. Did you think, you know, gotta make it, it has to be 2 pages. Well, we already have the book. You know, I'm not doing that anymore,
No.
just to say. But I'm very excited about Carol getting a boost like that. And she anyway, so very exciting. And she's,
Nice.
of course, she thinks I'm awesome, which, hey, that doesn't hurt either.
So Miriam, where's your, so you just finished this book with Carol. Where is your energy going to be focused for the next few months?
The barn swallows. You see all those barn swallow? Oh, you're not on Facebook. Can't see my barn swallow pictures. The barn swallows, I'm just going to throw ahead. This is another thing. I just want to, don't buy it, you know, it's kind of thing, because I don't know how to promote them anymore. I'm not worried about it. But the pictures are so awesome. I'm going to throw all the good pictures in a book so I can look at the pictures.
Nice.
They have a relationship, you know, there's one of them is on her twig, and her mother comes and feeds her every 7 minutes, as it turns out. And another one, they're all the barn swallows hanging out, hoping for good luck. Another one wants to be on that twig with her. And the other one moves up a little bit. This one says, I don't think so, you know, and you can see looking at this, I don't think so, no. And the other one says, but really, I really want to get closer to you. And there's quite a dialogue going on for about several minutes. And the other one finally says, creeps up there and sits next to this one. And they're okay with that. They're looking around, waiting for the adult, and they're looking this way and that way, as a team, as nest mates, N-E-S-T, nest mates. Who wouldn't love that? And then the mom comes and she feeds the first one. And the second one says, well, I got here, they're feeding me, and doesn't get any food. And so finally that one just flies away. I think it's a wonderful story. And so I'm just doing it, you know, that's it.
That's awesome.
I'm done. And I want to, what I'd like to do, and not, we can, if you think so, want to do this every month, just a chat with Marian. And I did most of the chatting.
Yeah. No, I love it.
How
But
do you do?
I'll be
people
here.
can comment or ask me things because I'm older than everybody, so I'm allowed to be asked those things. So that's it. So the thing will be over soon, because so what do you think of a once a month idea?
Great idea.
I do too. I think it would be lovely.
Yep.
And you could tell a friend, maybe if somebody.
Make sure your photography people know about it too. Like that guy Tom was on the last one. He probably would have liked to be here. I think his name's Tom. I don't know. You had coffee with him, so he must live near you.
I don't like talking to photographers.
Okay.
But
And
you
let's
can.
let people know about it.
Yes, I don't,
Yeah.
you know, how do you get the, well, I have, look at that lady said, it's not about the lens.
So how did you get the word out this time? Did you put it out, let folks know on Facebook?
I put it on Facebook every other day.
Okay.
and people liked it. And now I can say I did it. But here's the thing. So Alice, who I've talked on the phone, said, it's not the lens. It is the lens. So I don't even know how to get in conversations like that.
Yeah.
Oh, when I take my lens out, I go out and I go, oh, there's something over there. I'm going to go over there. And it's, the background is bad in the tree. You know, what do they want to do with what do you want to do with the image? What? Well, I don't know. I wouldn't.
That's because it's the passion behind it, you know? It's you're throwing that magazine across the room, that Time magazine, and saying, I'm done with this. I'm fed up with it. What I want to do is this because I care about it and I want to share it.
Yeah, but I don't want responses like it's not really about the lens.
But you're going to get them. So you
Yeah,
got
I
to
am.
address
Well,
them.
that's what
You
I
gotta
need you
address
guys.
them. Yeah, you know,
What do you
So,
say to somebody? Like, what kind of pictures do
you
you
got to
get?
say,
Like,
hey, you didn't feed me.
What?
So,
You
so
got to
my,
say to the mother, hey, you didn't feed me. What am I, chopped liver? Right? Like you're like your barn swallows, like the barn swallow story. If
So-
somebody says, oh, it's not the lens, it's the photographer, then you got to say, but I'm the photographer and you didn't feed me. It's like the bird story, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
so my interpretation of that was not literal. I didn't think I didn't interpret that as she was arguing about the lens as much as it was a compliment to you that, yes, the lens is important, but it's the photographer behind the lens that sees the image, that creates the image in its uniqueness. That's how